Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Friday, September 20th edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, taking you guys through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. You can follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. You can also check us out at MMAOddsbreaker.com on our YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. That's where the podcast is available. Also, check me out at bjpenn.com and MMA Rings on Net. So, congrats, guys. We made it to Friday. The weekend's coming up, which is pretty awesome. UFC Mexico City tomorrow. Looking forward to that card. Some really good fights. Great main event between Yair Rodriguez and Jeremy Stephens. I did notice the line flipped a little bit. Stephens is a slight favorite right now. So, check out my full breakdown over at MMAOddsbreaker.com. That's available now. Also, myself and Nicole Shelton broke down the entire card in podcast form on Tuesday. So, definitely check that out as well. A couple of things to talk about here in the news, and then I'll get to some fight announcements. Let's start with the main thing I want to mention today. Dana White, the UFC did a press conference. I should mention that, obviously, first. Yesterday in New York City for UFC 244, Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal were there. So they did their stare down. I think we're all excited for that fight. I should mention there were some pretty bad media questions, and I definitely saw a lot of media members that were critical of some of these people. I've never even heard of them. They were asking some awful questions. Like someone said to Nate Diaz, how can you call yourself a badass when you're a vegan? Like, it's kind of a stupid question, right? So definitely like some bad questions there, but it is what it is. I mean, I've been in this business for a long time, so that's probably not the worst question I've ever heard, to be honest. There's been some bad questions over the years. But anyways, Dana White mentioned a couple things when asked by other media members who actually had good questions. And one of them was, what's next for DC? What's next for Stipe? And Dana White confirmed there's going to be a trilogy fight. So I think it's the right move, honestly. It's a great fight. The first two fights were amazing. The first fight obviously saw DC pull off the upset with the knockout in the first round, and then the rematch last month saw Stipe pull off the upset with the knockout in the fourth round. So trilogy fight makes a lot of sense. They're 1-1 against each other. DC probably has one, maybe two fights left in his career, but this could easily be the last fight of his career. He goes in there, knocks out Stipe, wins, retires, heads on to the sunset with the belt. Or Stipe goes and proves that he's the greatest heavyweight ever with a knockout win, another knockout win over DC. So to me, it's a fight that makes a lot of sense. I'm excited for this trilogy. I'm really excited for it. I think it's the perfect fight. When does it take place? Not sure. I'm assuming next year, obviously. I don't think it's going to be put on that year-end card, which I'll talk about in a second here, but January, February, March, something like that. Maybe that March card in Vegas, that could make a lot of sense. I don't think they'll do a card in Vegas in January and February, considering there's going to be one in December. So maybe March, or maybe just wait till next July and do it. I'm not 100% sure what the timeline is for both these guys, but it is good news that DC's going to fight again. He's ready to go, and Stipe wants that trilogy as well. So great fight. I'm looking forward to it, but it also makes you wonder what's next for John Jones, because Jan Blachowicz is booked against Jacare, and a couple other guys were booked in the division last night, which I'll get to in a second here. So what's next for John Jones? I don't know. Maybe they wait for the winner of Dominic Reyes and Chris Weidman, which happens in about a month from now. That's what I would guess. Because otherwise, what else is out there? Not much, right? DC made sense as a trilogy fight. That's not happening. So if I had to guess, they'll just wait for the winner of the Weidman and Reyes fight, or possibly even the winner of Jacare and Blachowicz. That's about it. I mean, John Jones is pretty much cleaning the division other than that. So at some point, I'd like to see him move up to heavyweight. Obviously, that's not going to happen anytime soon, but possibly, who knows? Maybe he can get one more fight at heavyweight and then fight the winner of Stipe and DC, especially if it's Miocic. Because at that point, DC would probably be retired, and then you have a fresh fight between Miocic and John Jones. But that's neither here nor there. That's a little too far in the future. Right now, the UFC plans on doing Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3, and I, for one, am excited about that fight. All right, Dana White was also asked about Colby Covington, and according to Dana White, Colby has turned down fights with both Kamaru, Usman, and Tyron Woodley. So that's interesting. I mean, we already knew that Usman fight, but the Woodley thing is kind of interesting now. It just seems like the UFC wants to get Colby booked for a fight, but he clearly wants to pay more money. Someone had asked Dana White, I think in a Periscope chat, why don't you pay your fighters more? And Dana said, he called the guy a dick, and then said that we pay them, what they deserve, and everyone wants to be paid more. And you know what? To a certain extent, Dana's right. Like, everyone does want to be paid more. I want to be paid more. You want to be paid more. Everyone does, right? But Colby Covington is a guy that should be paid a little bit more money, I think, than he has been earning in the UFC, because he's did so many favors and he's so good, right? So even if you don't like the guy, I think we can all agree that he should be one of the highest paid fighters right now in the welterweight division, and clearly he doesn't believe he is. So hopefully that fence can get mended and they can book that fight with Usman, because otherwise at this point you're going to have to start thinking about what's next for Usman and maybe do the Leon Edwards fight, or possibly even just wait for the winner of Masvidal and Diaz. I'm not 100% sure. For Woodley, Covington would be a great fight for him right now because if he beats Covington, he's right back in the driver's seat for a title shot. But I think Woodley's probably going to have to fight someone else. It is kind of crappy for Woodley because at this time last year he was a champ, and now he's kind of a forgotten about guy in that stacked welterweight division. So we'll see what's next for T Wood, but I hope the UFC can get this fight with Colby and Usman done. It's the fight that should happen. It's the fight everyone wants to see. It's the fight the fighters want. Pay them what they're worth, and move on to the next fight. All right, Dana was also asked about Conor McGregor, and according to Dana, he won't be fighting on that card at the end of the year, UFC 245. He said, oh, well, we're doing it in Vegas. Conor wants to fight in Dublin. So that's not going to happen, but Dana did say maybe early 2020. Maybe they will do a card in Dublin just for Conor in the main event. I'm not 100% sure who's going to fight. Maybe Cowboy, maybe Gaethje, maybe the winner of Khabib and Ferguson. Who knows? But it does look like Conor will get a fight in early 2020, so he'll be out over a year since his last fight. But it's just good to get him back in the cage. He has to start fighting again. He's still one of the biggest draws in the sport, but clearly has some stuff going on outside the sport for like the last little while, as we all know. So hopefully UFC can get him booked, get him in the cage, get him a fight, and we'll take it from there. And finally, one other note from the press conference, Dana White did confirm there will be 3 title fights at UFC 245. And again, I'm pretty sure I was the first one who said this on Twitter. You know, I actually went and used the Google search, Twitter search bar, and I was the first person to tweet about it. And again, Ariel Helwani tweeted like an hour after me saying that he had heard that there'd be 3 title fights at UFC 245. But I'm pretty sure I was the first person that publicly was like, you know what, I think this is going to happen. And it makes so much sense. There's so many title fights that need to be booked. So it's not like I'm some genius or anything like that, but like I got to get some credit here, guys. You know what I mean? Like I don't get much credit in this industry, and that's cool. Whatever. I'm happy to be doing what I do, but in this particular case, I actually called this before anyone. So 3 title fights, UFC 245. I can't wait for that card. Again, I'm going to try being at that one. It should be a great card. It already looks good. I mean, for what we've seen, I'm going to pull it out right now, but for what I've seen, it looks amazing. You got Nunes versus JDR, I versus Araujo, Saunders versus Brown, Lawler versus Ponzinibbio, and then rumored fight would be Holloway versus Volkanovski and a couple other title fights. Like Usman Covington could be put in this card. Zhang versus maybe Suarez could be put in this card. Khabib versus Ferguson. I mean, really, there's a lot of options right now. So we'll see what happens with this card. But 3 title fights, UFC 245. That's perfect. That makes so much sense. Go with a bang in 2019, and then start 2020 with couple other fights, including Conor McGregor. Even though it's not a title fight, doesn't matter. So 3 title fights, UFC 245, going to be a great card. All right, let's get to some fight announcements here. There's a few good fights coming up. Let's start with this one. Greg Hardy will be taking on Ben Sosoli at UFC Boston. So Greg Hardy was set to fight Georges Danho at UFC Singapore. That fight's been scrapped. Danho pulled out. I don't know if he was injured or not, but he's not going to be fighting Greg Hardy now. Danho hasn't fought in 3 years. So I'm assuming the UFC is probably really pissed off at him. It's probably just going to cut him now. I mean, really, why is this guy even on the roster? After 3 years, hasn't fought. Doesn't make sense. Greg Hardy has looked good in the UFC. He's 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the UFC, back-to-back knockout wins over Juan Adams and Dmitry Smolyakov after that unfortunate DQ loss against Alan Crowder, and he'll be taking on Ben Sosoli from the Contender Series. So Dana White did say that he wanted Ben to get a fight in the UFC after that unfortunate eye poke ended the fight with Dustin Johnson in August. That was unfortunate, but this guy, he does have some knockout power. He's had kind of some bad luck. He had that fight with Juan Espino in the Ultimate Fighter. He lost that fight. Had the no contest on Contender Series. So he's had a couple chances now, but this is his 3rd time. This is obviously a tough fight for him against Greg Hardy. This guy does have KO power. He does have some experience. He's only been fighting for 5 years, but he does have more fights than Greg Hardy. At the same time, though, man, come on. Greg Hardy's going to knock this guy out, I'm pretty sure. So I think Greg Hardy wins, and this fight's next month. So very short notice for both guys. Greg Hardy at least is in training. Sosoli, he should be in decent fight shape, I think, after that last fight ended so early. But I don't know. I think Greg Hardy's a step up, honestly. So this is a tough fight for him. UFC Washington, D.C. gets an interesting lightweight bout between Matt Wiman and Joe Solecki. So Matt Wiman, he recently came back after 5 years away from the sport to fight Luis Pena and got absolutely destroyed by him. It was like a brutal beatdown. Lost by TKO in the 3rd round. Brutal beatdown there. I didn't like that performance by Matt Wiman. I just really wonder why he's coming back. He's 36 now. Again, 5 years away after the Isaac Valley flag fight. So that's a long time away from the sport. I mean, this guy, he used to be one of my favorite fighters. I'm not going to lie. Matt Wiman's an exciting guy. And I'm sure he's a favorite of Dana White and the matchmakers, but at the same time, I think him and his team, they got to realize, the sport's a lot different than it was 5 years ago. And the fact that he got destroyed by Pannie in the last fight should be a telling sign that maybe this isn't the right move for him. Anyways, he takes on Joe Solecki here, another Contender Series alum. He's coming off a win over James Wallace by submission first round. He's actually won 3 straight fights. His overall record in his career is 8-2. So decent record. He hasn't fought many good fighters, to be honest with you. He's got some experience. Obviously, he's got 10 fights, but the level of competition's been pretty low. So Matt Wiman's the best fighter he's ever fought, but at the same time, Matt Wiman is really not the same Matt Wiman he once was. You got to lean towards Solecki here. It's a fade on Matt Wiman, unfortunately. I love Matt Wiman. Guy's had so many good fights, memorable fights in his career, but this is just not the right move for him at this point in his career, taking on a younger guy, hungrier guy, and a guy with more momentum. UFC Moscow gets another fight here between Jessica Rose Clark and Pannie Kianzad. So that's an interesting fight as well. Jessica Rose Clark, she is 9-5-1 in her career, so not a great record, but she's 2-1 in the UFC. Wins over Beck Rawlings and Paige Van Zandt, lost to Jessica. She has not fought since last June, so it's going to be over a year since her last fight. And she has fought Pannie Kianzad in Invicta back in 2015, and Kianzad won a unanimous decision. Pannie Kianzad, 27 years old. She is 11-5 in her career. She's coming off a loss in her UFC debut to Julia Avila, which obviously was disappointing. And she also lost to Macy Chiasson in her Ultimate Fighter finale fight. So she's 0-2 in the UFC, but I mean, to be fair, Chiasson and Avila are both pretty good fighters, so that's not terrible. She's getting another fight here. UFC's being kind to her and giving her one more chance, and this is definitely a winnable fight. I mean, I would say the loser goes home after this one. I don't know who's going to win, but I guess you have to favor Kianzad, just the fact they have fought before, and she did win the first fight. But Jessica Rose Clark definitely improved since then, so that should be interesting. And finally, this is a great fight. UFC South Korea gets an excellent light heavyweight bout between Volkan Oezdemir and Aleksandar Rakic. This is a great fight. Volkan Oezdemir, 30 years old. He is 16-4 in his career. He is 4-3 in the UFC, coming off a brutal knockout win over Ilir Latifi that snapped a 3-fight losing skid to Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith, and Daniel Cormier. He also has wins over Jamie Manuwa, Misha Serkinov, and Ovin St. Peru. So this guy has a ton of KO power, 16 wins, 12 of them by knockout. Volkan is a beast. He's got great hands, and this is not a guy you want to mess with because he's got a lot of power. But Rakic, you talk about top light heavyweight prospects. This is the fight that could catapult him to the elite of the division. Rakic, only 27 years old, 12-1 in his career. He's on a 12-fight win streak since losing his MMA debut back in 2011. He has 9 wins by knockout and 12 wins in his career. He's 4-0 in the UFC, coming off a devastating knockout win over Jimmy Manuwa by head kick, also knocked out Devin Clark, and then won decisions over Justin Ledet and Francimar Barroso. The guy's an absolute monster. This is a great fight. 2 guys that are known for their knockouts, 2 guys that have pretty good chins from what we've seen. Man, what a great fight. Amazing matchup. I'm assuming this is going to be the co-main event. I'm assuming they're going to have Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega as the main event for that card. That's not official by any means, but that's the rumor. And this will be the co-main event, and it's a great fight. So South Korea, that card doesn't have many fights on it. The only other fight is Matt Schnell versus Alexander Pantoja, which is also a really good fight. But December 21st, that's the year. That's basically the year-end card. I mean, the December one in Vegas obviously is the one that everyone's talking about, but this is really the last card of the year for the UFC. So the holiday card for the UFC looks pretty good, guys, and I'm looking forward to this matchup. But honestly, I have to fear Rakic. This guy is just, I think, a machine, and man, I'm a fan of this guy. And I'm a fan of both guys. Volkan's a great fighter too, but Rakic is someone I've been high on for a little while now. So that's going to be great. And I should mention, Ryzen has announced the fights for their Grand Prix. The first round lightweight Grand Prix fights include Patricky Pitbull versus Tatsuya Kawajiri. That's a really good fight. Johnny Case versus Roberto Souza. Tofik Musaya versus Damian Brown, and Luis Uscava versus Hiroto Usako. So that's a great tournament there. Ryzen's doing good things over in Japan, and that card will take place later this year on October 12th in Osaka, Japan. So that should be really good. Just checking to see if I missed anything else. I think I got everything I wanted, guys. So, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. Once again, it's Friday, September 20th. So, happy weekend, everyone. Saturday, Sunday, you got off, hopefully from work. You can relax. Watch the fights tomorrow night. Should be a good card. UFC Mexico City. And I should mention, I did watch the stare downs. Man, Alexa Grasso was so much bigger than Carlos Esparza. That's the one thing I did notice. And I am picking Grasso in that fight, although I think Esparza with that wrestling could give her some problems. But man, that was definitely something I noticed. That was probably the one standout from that fight. Of course, that main event between Stevens and Rodriguez. I cannot wait for that matchup. What a fight. It's going to be amazing. Rodriguez, for my money, might be one of the most exciting pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. So that's going to be a great card tomorrow, hopefully, and I'm looking forward to it. So, guys, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. This podcast is available, as always, at MMAOddsbreaker.com. Go to our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Also, check me out at bjpenn.com and MMARings.net, where I have an article right now over there about Yair Rodriguez. Myself and Cole Sheldon did the Breakdown podcast on Tuesday. Also, go back and check out this week's shows if you missed them. Guys, once again, thanks a lot for joining me today on the podcast. Have a great weekend. I'll be back Monday for the next edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. Have a good one, guys.